There's a star that lights the road. I take this ride. Just drive. I wanna be the only one to make it to the light. I take it to the edge where I live 1,000 lives. But maybe I could be the one. I'm riding to the setting sun today. Just drive.
And hello and welcome then to the final part of Ask Crofty from the final day of the second pre-season test. And welcome Kamui Kobayashi. The Japanese driver finally getting some time in his case room this afternoon after waiting around for Marcus Ericsson to get some mileage this morning. Sadly, not that case room got a huge amount of mileage in, and not that they've done a huge amount this afternoon as well, but at least Kobayashi has been out. Hello and good evening, cameraman Pete. Kobayashi has been out for a 6-lap run, and this is what the cars sound like when they come into the garage. And you see the towels being placed on the side to absorb some of the heat that's coming off around the exhaust area, and the umbilical cord gets plugged in and the fans get plugged in as well to keep the brakes nice and cool, and on go the tyre blankets, which is not, Pete, focus on this, this is a really difficult job. Our little friend here making it look quite easy, but I've tried this before. These get very, very sticky, these tyres, even the harder tyres for 2014, and it's not actually that easy to get the tyre blankets on again. Took me about 20 goes when I had a go myself, but this is what they do, and they download all the data. So if we go round to the far side there's the guys on the laptops, Renault engineer, Caterham engineer, Pirelli tyre man, coming to check pressures as well. And eventually everything will calm down, and the guys, what have we got now? 21 minutes to go until the red flag and the checkered flag for the end of the day. We might get another run in, but I would doubt it very much indeed. So we have got a red flag session flying at the moment, and I can just see the truck actually going down the pit lane, for whom I know not. But let's have a little wander to the back of the garage. Tom Webb is here. You've seen Tom Webb on many a Sky F1 show, because he's the guy that we can speak to at Caterham, who's still smiling after not the best of weeks, it has to be said.
I think from our perspective it's been a very good week actually. More laps than any of the other Renault teams, and after the problems we had in Jerez, that's got to be a positive thing. Times, obviously we could do with it being a little bit quicker, but at this stage of the season for us it's just about getting reliability. I think until Maldonado's lap earlier today we were the quickest of the Renault teams as well, and I think that's something we've never really thought we'd be saying at this stage of the season, or possibly ever.
You see, I know this man has got phone numbers of former prime ministers on his mobile phone, but that's a politician's spin if ever I heard one, and I know you're trying to accentuate the positives, and that's fine, but the fact that you haven't, and a lot of other Renaults haven't been able to push to the limits you would like in this test has got to be a slight concern.
I think at this stage of the season it would be untrue to say it isn't a concern, but we have another 4 days of testing here next week. Renault have got another few days to be able to keep turning up the performance levels, and I think we're all pretty confident that by the time we leave Bahrain, head back to the UK, and the cars head off to Australia, I think we're pretty confident we're going to be in the right place.
Right, I have got no former Prime Minister's mobile numbers on my phone, but what I have got is a tweet, hashtag Ask Crofty. Justin Edwards, good evening to you. He says, Crofty, why don't teams allow 2 cars per team testing in pre-season? Can't be cost, surely. They've got everything out there already. Now, Tom can help us answer this one, because you know exactly how many men you've got and how much kit you've got. Why can't you run 2 cars in testing?
It is cost. It's cost in logistics, to be fair. To run 2 cars would be almost double the cost for us, both in terms of the people that we need to work on them, people we need to bring out here, and just the extra workload. So as part of the cost-cutting measures that were put in a while ago, this is one of those that's worked very well. It's hard enough for these guys working 14-hour days on the day shift and switching over to the night shift just on 1 car, let alone 2. So I think it would be a monumental effort for any of the teams, let alone teams of our size, to be able to run 2 cars at test. Frankly, it would be impossible with the budgets and resources we've got.
Thanks ever so much, Tom. See, look, Pete, just look with me. I'm going to put my arm around my friend here. This man has been working 14... I'm very good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, Charlie. Yeah.
14-hour days?
14, 15, something like that.
Are you ready for a couple of days on the beach next week?
Happy days, yeah.
Oh dear, mind the fire extinguisher, don't drop that, boys. Enjoying the test though, yeah?
Always enjoying testing.
Good man. Good to see him. Seriously, it's like walking around as Friar Tuck with Robin Hood's Merry Men when you step into the Caterham garage. I feel a little bit the odd man out without Green, so we better get out of here. Justin, I hope that answers your tweet. It is all about cost. Imagine, these guys are the day shift, the night shift comes in a minute, and you've got to have 2 more of these, plus extra gear as well. It's going to take rather a lot. So we'll say goodbye to Tom. I've got loads and loads of tweets to ask for our special guest for the evening tonight, so I'm off to see Checo Perez somewhere over that way, I think. Pete, you go that way, I'll go that way. Come on, Pete, hurry up. Pete, check a flag. It's gone, the session's over. Everything has finished, and yes, that man, Checo Perez, whose day finished a little bit earlier than some, has agreed to join us. Frustrating, wasn't it, today?
Yeah, well, not really frustrating. It's good that things like that happen in testing days. Unfortunately, yeah, we really need the timing now. I have the next 2 days of testing, which are very important and crucial for our developing with the team, with the car, and yeah, hopefully we can have two good days.
What went wrong this afternoon then?
We had a failure with the gearbox, so we had to basically take gearbox out, the engine out, and that was a big waste of time.
Yeah, because sadly, session might not have finished actually. I think we've got about a minute before the checkered flag officially comes and brings to an end this session. And the Williams wants to go back out there and do some more running, which you must really hate as a driver, the fact that they can actually get out there again, and you've had some sort of niggly issue today. Testing's never fun, really, for a driver, is it?
No, not really. I mean, there is some fun parts when you do qualifying simulations or race distance, but yeah, it's a bit boring, but it's very important. It's very important that get the testing under the pocket, because otherwise you arrive into the first race without having tested so many things that you might have to go through during the season.
Absolutely. Right, before we get through a few Ask Crofty questions that we've got for you, that course car has just dropped off Kimi Raikkonen into the Ferrari garage, and the Williams has gone back into its garage, and that is the end of that. And we have now got some questions for you. So, your relationship with Nico Hülkenberg, a brand new teammate. Joe and his cat wants to know, how's it going? Are you two having a fine bromance at the moment?
Yeah, well, things are going well. We're working fine together. We haven't spent much time, obviously, but yeah, so far so good.
Adrian Tan wants to know, or ADR Tan, I wish we had some easier names to pronounce here, wants to know, extra pressure on you to outperform Nico coming into a new team and a team that he knows a little better, or not?
Well, there is always pressure there to beat your teammate, of course, but it doesn't add any more pressure than what I've been having in the past. I'm just here to do my very best job, and hopefully that will be good enough. I have to work hard together with the team and try to do the best performance for my team.
Now, we're all saying in the media, Mercedes-powered cars seem to have a bit of an advantage at the moment. So CJ Aguade says, do you believe Mercedes-powered cars will have a big advantage come Melbourne?
Well, things are looking good for Mercedes cars, but I expect the other manufacturers to really catch up before Melbourne. So it will be a very close battle in the midfield.
Have you had to change your driving style? Not my question. Kaliko Trinket says, has that increased torque made you reappraise the way that you go driving?
Yeah, you cannot forget that we have increased torque plus less downforce. So yeah, it's difficult out there. You gotta change your driving style. Also new team, new car, different to the past for myself. So yeah, just adapting myself to the car.
Yeah, stick me in a Formula One car, my stomach's going to do knots. I'm not going to enjoy that sort of talk. You're used to it, but even so, has it felt a little bit weird, the fact that you know there's that much more acceleration, that much more torque power?
It does feel very weird because, I mean, although you have so much torque there, you cannot really use it because you don't have the grip to do it. So you are always really limited, the rear is overloaded, so no, not so easy.
Yeah, your foot's going to ache a little bit, feathering that throttle through the season. What are your personal targets for 2014? Podium?
Yeah, I think we should aim high as a team. We should really, I think we have good opportunities, and hopefully we can score some good podiums this year.
And when you first, that was Jimmy the Cat's question. Thank you, Jimmy the Cat. When you first learned to drive a Formula One car, that would have been difficult, stepping up from GP2, but has it been as difficult stepping up this year as well?
Yeah, probably. I mean, going through so many things, it's like starting once again. Obviously, you have the experience from Formula One, from the team, from working at this level. It helps, but obviously it's a big change, and this regulation takes a while for everyone to settle in.
And we have come to the last question for the Checo Perez Ask Crofty questions, and I think it is the most important question of all. Looking Spiffy says, Checo, how do you make your hair look so amazing?
Is he taking the...
I think he's taking something on that one, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I really struggle with my hair, especially when it's long, with the helmet, so that's why I always wear the cap.
Yeah.
Not today.
To be fair, the hairline's not receding, which is good. Would you ever have implants?
I hope not. I don't think so. I have enough hair.
Excellent. So no implants, no ball patches, and looking amazing today. Thank you very much indeed. What do you do between now and the next Bahrain? Go to Dubai, go to Abu Dhabi?
I'll stay here in Bahrain. We will do some training. As I'm testing the first 2 days, I will be doing some training, fighting to lose some weight, and yeah, I will just stay here with my trainer.
Yeah, we're all fighting to lose weight. You're not alone on that one.
Keep fighting.
Thank you very much indeed. I tell you what, I'll make a very quick walk that way and try and find some people in the paddock to talk to in part two, because we've got to round up 4 days of testing here in Bahrain. It's not been brilliant for Checo today, but there are other Mercedes-powered cars that have had a much better day of it. Welcome back to hashtag Ask Crofty. Loving the festive lights in the paddock here. No holiday season, of course, for the boys and girls. Plenty going on. One thing to bring you up to date with from last night, where some of the team senior members had a meeting in the paddock discussing the possibility of extra tyres for qualifying 3 to try and, encourage teams to go out and run where some aren't at the moment. No major objections from the teams, I'm told, but 3 points need to be considered by the F1 strategy group now before that can get adopted. And those 3 points are: does the issue need fixing? Are people going to not go out in Q3? It might take away the element of surprise. Teams wanted to keep sets of tyres back for the race and produce some surprise results. Do we really want to change that? And do the media and the fans want to see everybody running in Q3? Strategy group are going to be talking about that one, and it may or may not get voted in. Pete, turn this way. Sauber been working long and hard in the garage today. Only 7 laps for Adrian Sutil. Chassis change. That was the problem there. At Marussia, behind you there, Pete. Well, they only got 5 laps in. A lot of head scratching in the garage, a lot of time wasted, and 2 hours wasted when the ERS light came on, and they thought, oh no, we've got an electrical problem, but it turns out it was a false reading, and they kind of wasted 2 hours. It's the sort of thing, Pat Simmons at Williams now, was at Marussia, of course, that can happen in testing. You find issues, and then you realise there wasn't an issue in the first place.
Yeah, that's absolutely true, particularly with the complexity of the powertrains that we're using in 2014. We've all got to learn a little bit more. We've got to sort of reprogram the diagnostic part of our brains to understand all these systems. And I guess, we had a similar problem at the start of the test here in Bahrain, where what was actually a pretty simple wiring problem, or I say simple with hindsight, it did take us many hours to find.
Because you lost a whole day with your fuel system problem, I think you're alluding to there.
Yeah, as you say, we totally lost a day at the beginning through this wiring problem, which was part of the fuel system electronics. But after that, the car is just, it's run like a dream. And, these are new cars, very complicated, not just in the powertrain. We've got our 8-speed gearboxes, we've got our brake-by-wire, we've got all these new things. But to be honest, the car has run like one of the old V8s at the end of the season. It's that good. And I think one thing we're very proud of at Williams is, thus far, we are the only team that's gone through winter testing without causing a red flag. We haven't stopped on the track once. And, that's a real testament to the design, the build, the quality of the work that's gone into the car.
In which case, then, that leads me on to Nocho Bene. Good evening to you. And their question that they've tweeted in: you're on the rise. You appear to be on the rise. New staff, including yourself, more to come, I'm told, as well. New engine, Felipe Massa, and Felipe Nasr joining as well as the reserve and test driver. So could you challenge for a win in 2014?
Well, I certainly hope so. as you say, a lot of new things, even if we can hardly manage to have two drivers with a more similar name. But, challenging for a win is a really, really difficult thing to do. It's intensely competitive. The rate of progress is just relentless. We're pushing as hard as we can, but we don't expect overnight miracles. Things are looking good. Yes, we're on the up, but let's just keep working, and the results will come.
You've been around in Formula One for a few years, more than 10, less than 100. We'll leave it at that. We won't put a figure on it. But have you ever known a winter like we've had and regulation changes like we've had? And do you think the sport has bitten off just a little bit more than it can chew?
I think this is the biggest season-to-season change ever. We've had turbocharged engines before, but they were very different to these very highly hybridized power units that we got now. We've had aerodynamic changes that have probably been a little bit bigger, but one shouldn't trivialize what we've done this year. The narrow wing, losing the beam wing, those sort of things are actually very significant aerodynamically. Brake-by-wire, totally new technology into F1. So we really have, we've certainly bitten off a lot, but I think we're chewing hard, And, people have had troubles, but some haven't. I think Formula One needs to be at the forefront. It shouldn't be easy. We are constructors, and that's what differentiates Formula One. And part of the DNA of Formula One is to have technical leadership and to be on the edge of technology. It's an expensive process. I don't think it's going to spoil the racing. We may have a few reliability problems in the early races, but there are some very, very clever guys in the pit lane. They will sort things out. And no, we haven't bitten off too much, I don't think.
Yeah. And you have got, I think, the best engine as it stands at the moment in your car, that Mercedes engine, Mercedes power unit. Let's get it right here. I think it's the one to go with, isn't it?
Yeah, we're very, very happy with what we've got there. It is a complex unit. It's a beautiful, it's a work of art to an engineer. It really has run very, very reliably for us. It's got plenty of power. It's got great torque. It really is a real tribute to them.
Well, you keep smiling. We'll keep talking. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
Pat Simmons with us on #AskCrofty. Let's wander up this way a little bit, because we'll go from the Mercedes-powered Williams team, as Pat says, the only ones not to bring out a red flag in testing so far, to the team that have been setting the pace and consistently setting the pace, and they are Mercedes. Their Executive Director Technical, Paddy Lowe, spoke to me a few moments ago. Paddy Lowe, on a scale of 1 to 10, for the week and for today, how much is that smile worth?
I think we'd have to say, for the moment, a 10. Formula One, you've got to enjoy things when they go well. Make sure you capitalise on that. But if you don't enjoy good days in Formula One, you never will have a good time. So, we have had a good week. I think, again, as Sarath, better than we could have expected. Still a lot of problems with the car, a lot of things to work through. But the drivers are both very happy with the performance, and we have to keep building on that.
Every team expects issues when they come to testing. So the problems you've had, are they the issues you were expecting to find, or are there new things that are causing you to scratch your head?
No, we run a list, and there are lots of things that were red last week that have now turned green, and there's a whole load of other stuff further down the list which is red. So, you find a lot of new stuff all the time, most of it a surprise. It's not easy, but that's why we come testing.
But you did
these things.
Yeah, but you did a race distance today, you did a race distance yesterday, and you had speed, a lot of speed on the straight, and you had reliability.
Well, sort of. We did a race distance, but the car broke down 2 laps later, so it's not all good.
Yeah, but Colin Chapman said that was the way it works, isn't it? They're prototype cars. You go from A to B as fast as possible, then they fall apart.
Well, yeah, perhaps. At this day and age, they're supposed to last a bit longer than that, but it wasn't a planned failure, put it like that.
So you go to the final test now to work on performance, to work on setup. How far ahead do you think you are of your nearest rivals, and who are those nearest rivals at the moment?
Well, it is very difficult to say precisely, because particularly today, actually, not a lot of people were really running all that much. I don't know why that was, whether they were shorter parts or it's just been too long a week. I don't know, but so not many comparisons today. I think the strongest teams out there are the Mercedes-powered teams. I think Ferrari are also looking strong. So those are the people we're watching and trying to measure against. And as you know, in this business, even on a Friday from P1 and P2, you can't predict what the grid will look like. So a lot of uncertainty in this, but certainly we feel that we are quick, and we're definitely in contention to do very well in Melbourne if we can keep pressing home. Further updates to the car and making sure it's reliable.
A happy Paddy Lowe then, and I'm sure a happy Niki Lauda tonight, former world champion for Ferrari now, of course, at Mercedes, and celebrating his birthday today. So Niki, happy birthday to you. What of Ferrari today? See that box over there? I bet you there's some damaged parts, a damaged front wing and nose to the Ferrari. Kimi Raikkonen ended the test, ended the day by spinning at turn 4 and bashing into the barriers. It's the first time really we'd seen a car go into the barriers. Kind of accepted Kimi that it was his fault, but nonetheless third fastest today for Ferrari, who I suppose remain the big competition at the moment to the Mercedes powered engines. They have had telemetry issues in this test. We think we've had a few gearbox issues as well for Ferrari, but on the whole remains quite encouraging. So some happy chats, I'm sure, tonight from some of the Ferrari team. And that brings us then on to the Renault-powered teams. For Lotus, an encouraging day, they said. First day today, they managed to run the new power unit at full power. I dare suggest that was only for one lap. Pastor Maldonado did a 1:38.7, but words like encouragement and even awesome coming from the team, where they say it's software issues that have been their bugbear with the new power unit, but software issues can be fixed. It's not like they've got big mechanical problems. There's Daniel Ricciardo's trainer there, off for a good night out as he walks past, just carrying the drinks bottles back for one last time. Daniel Ricciardo himself, I suppose he could have carried his own drinks bottles because he... Good night, fire rescue, because he didn't exactly do much today. Once again, it was a bad day for Red Bull, and I think this is where we have to finish our little roundup as Crofty
tonight. The power Red Bull cars. Sum total of 115 laps for Red Bull in this test. Daniel Ricciardo did string together a 12-lap stint today, and that's the longest that the defending champions have managed to do. Now, Renault Sport say they brought 2 software updates to this test, which have worked and have provided a temporary fix for the teams. They've also had hardware updates to the energy store, to the batteries that needed fixing as well. But they say, do Renault, they are substantially behind where they wanted to be. And as it stands tonight, they're in a situation where I suppose they'd have expected to have been at mid-Jerez. So they're 6 days behind in terms of their pre-season build-up. That's on the power unit side. What else at Red Bull? Gearbox issues for them as well. Adrian Newey, Christian Horner flying back early for the second test running. No one to speak to at Red Bull tonight. They weren't here. Daniel Ricciardo wasn't scheduled to speak to the media. And we'd like to know, wouldn't we, just how far behind Red Bull are. On the face of it, I'd say if they were a cricketer, they'd be batting so much on the back foot they'd be behind the stumps at the moment. It's almost like a football team trying to defend their championship, having their boots taken away from them. It has not been a good test here. It was not a good test at Jerez. The engines all get homologated on the 28th of February before we come testing here in Bahrain again, so there's no performance improvement after that. They can be changed for reliability, safety and cost issues, but the performance cannot be changed. So that needs fixing, and the overall package of the Red Bull needs fixing as well. There will be plenty of eyes fixed on the defending champions when we come back to Bahrain again, and boy do they need a good test in time for Melbourne, which is only 21 days away now. In between, Ted returns with his notebook. We'll be here for all 4 days of the final test in Bahrain, but that's it for hashtag Ask Crofty. Thank you to all your tweets and to all of you who said, where's Martin Whitmarsh? Well, we've not seen him. The McLaren team principal hasn't been here. Eric Boulier, the racing director, has, but how can a racing director and a team principal work alongside each other? I'm sure we'll find out in due course, but we'll be back in Bahrain. I'm not sure Martin Whitmarsh will be for McLaren, and as for Red Bull, well, they're going to need something to cheer themselves up before the start of the season.